This is Ion Hong Kong with Key.
And this is Harminder, and we'll be discussing the top news for the week involving Hong Kong and China. And welcome to the 26th episode of Ion Hong Kong. And you know what? We'll start off with this. Run clip 1. So, as you can see, we had some serious chaos going on in MONG because the courts had the injunction filed by the minibus companies and the taxi companies.
Yes.
Now, the injunction said that they could clear the obstacles and the barricades that had been erected at the sites that were designated for clearance.
Yes.
So on Tuesday, they began the first clearance. Was it Tuesday or Monday?
I think it was Wednesday, right? Or
okay, either way, it was this week, or the earliest part. They started clearing out Argyle Street. Okay, and bailiffs read out the injunction. The protesters had some questions. They were answered. All right. It started. They did it. Nothing happened.
Right.
All right, seems to be good. They said we'll be back for Nathan Road tomorrow, the next day.
Oh yeah, that would be a Tuesday.
It was Tuesday, right?
Yeah, and then Wednesday on Nathan Road.
Then Wednesday they began Nathan Road. All right. Now on Wednesday, Scholarism was there. Joshua Wong.
Yeah, and
HK Federation students were there. Alex Chow, Lester Shum, and
I think it's only Lester.
Oh, it was only Lester.
Yeah.
All right, Lester Shum. And another member, his name eludes me at the moment. 5 minutes into it, because they were questioning, they had questions.
Right.
And then they were also questioning who are these people in red hats and I Love HK shirts, which I can no longer wear. Who are these people? Apparently they were part of helping clear it out, but that needs to be made clear.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes into it, the police says, "Okay, arrest him."
Right.
And they darted for him and pulled him out of the crowd and arrested Joshua Wong and Lester Shum and other Federation student members. And right there, all hell broke loose for days.
But they successfully cleared off Nathan Road.
Well, yeah, the end result was that, but at what cost?
What cost? What do you mean?
Well, first of all, you just saw in that clip.
Why? What happened?
What the police were doing. Baton Man over there.
All right.
Got a little too, became a maniac cop there, and started just beating passerbys with his baton. Okay, and that wasn't the only incident that day. There were people pushed by the riot shields.
Yeah.
And cops verbally abusing. Cops even when people were arrested and people demanded to know what was the charge that they were being arrested under. That is, you're under your civil rights. You have the right to know what the charge is that you're being arrested under.
The police also has the obligation to tell.
Right, and he's like, I don't have to tell you. And the video of that, he's like, I don't have to tell you. He's like, yes, you do.
Exactly. Yes,
I mean,
they do.
There was some wild stuff happening with the police that day.
Yeah.
No doubt the police were receiving verbal abuse as well. So you could listen to the video, you could hear some language, but the cops were being so confrontational with the protesters.
I think after the clearance on Wednesday, then people started to start this new movement called Gao Wu. They keep saying
go shopping.
Go shopping in Mandarin. The reason why they say that was because some months ago, and when there was a pro-government protests, and then they hire some. They invite some people, and then some people join the protest, and then the TV reporter asking these protesters, why you come here, and then they say we come here to gao wu. That's Mandarin of shopping. And in Cantonese, it sounds like you are talking bullshit in Cantonese. So we keep saying that, oh, if we do something like gao wu, it's doing something like,
nonsense,
nonsense.
BS, yeah. All right. Understood. And also the chief executive said go shopping. Some people were.
Yes, so
they showed up to do it. Anyways, but we'll get to that part. We had cops that were doing all that. There was one police officer that made racial comments to, I don't know if she was protesting, supporting, or just walking by, but Pakistani lady that was there, and the officer told her to go back to India, even though she's Pakistani.
Exactly. I couldn't understand why people make things up. After all these years, a lot of Pakistan and
we all
Indian
look the same, don't we? And then she, I liked her response. She said, "You go back to the mainland."
Exactly. I like
Cantonese.
That too. Yeah, yes.
In Cantonese. That's the thing. So
well done.
Good on her. Yeah, and I mean, Fernando Chung. They were saying because he does have like a sick daughter. Is she disabled?
I think he's mentally challenged.
So disabled, mentally challenged, whatever you want to say. And they were like, oh, you should go take care of your sick daughter.
Yeah.
And like making fun of the fact that he has a disabled child at home. And it was really sickening to watch. I mean,
it's kind of sad that the policeman would say something like that to citizens.
Very.
It shows that they have no education at all, and
well, it shows a low type of intelligence that's being hired for the police force these days.
It seems so. Because I think recent years they hire people who fail the public exam.
That true?
Yeah, that's true.
That's actually a worldwide phenomenon. You know, in the U.S., somebody actually sued because they were hiring police that they weren't hiring police officers that were too smart. The guy sued and he won because it was kind of true.
Okay.
So it seems to be a phenomenon going on that they don't want people that can critically think too much.
I think
but think for themselves.
Yeah.
They want people that follow orders.
And easily brainwashed. But still, at the same time, and I will make this point later. We don't want to make the police our enemy. I'll say why later. You can agree or disagree with me later. Now, the injunction order itself. Yeah. Now, when they arrested these protesters, and this is what Margaret Ng said on a RTHK program. Right.
She said that under what power were they being arrested? Were they being arrested for contempt of court? Were they being arrested for other reasons? For under police powers? It's a whole different subject.
Right.
I believe the contempt of court goes into the high court. The other one goes into the magistrate. Right? It's a simple criminal procedure versus something even more significant and damaging. That's an interesting question. Under what grounds were you arresting these people?
But it seems that they have been taken back to the magistracy.
So it was just criminal, maybe just.
I think some of them got charged with obstructing the government of officers carrying out their duties or something like that.
Not the bailiffs, because then that's contempt of court.
Not the bailiff.
Yeah.
And then it seems that they also charging people for illegal gathering at the same time.
Well,
they seem to mix up all these charges together. Of course, the police will say that they always have the authority to arrest these people who participating in the illegal gathering.
Well, yes, it is an illegal gathering, and all the protesters there said, yes, we will be arrested for this, and we're prepared to face those consequences.
Right.
So there's no question about that. It's what is other stuff that they're charging them with, and it's been adjourned till the new year, so we'll find out then. And of course we had other arrests, like an Apple Daily photojournalist. The police officer accused him of hitting him in the back of the head with his camera.
Yeah.
But clip 2 will show you otherwise. Run clip 2. So what you could clearly see in that clip was that he didn't hit him in the back of the head. The officer walked back into his camera by accident. The whole thing was an accident. But then you saw the cop just pounce on him.
Yeah.
And then eventually he was arrested and taken away.
I think on that night, and there was that officer actually said that the Apple Daily reporters tried to step away the gun.
Yeah, he tried to take his gun. I mean, ridiculous. I mean, what is going on here? You know, now they're falsely accusing. I mean, there was some, like, you know, because most of the clips didn't have subtitles, but you could get the gist of most of the stuff that was going on, right? They were just going wild. The cops just went wild. It seemed like whatever, they were targeting journalists.
Yes.
I mean, that was disgusting. How could they impede the work of the Fourth Estate? I mean, are they suddenly an enemy that they, you know, the journalists will target? And you know what the other problem was? It was like the order was only established mainstream media is journalists. Citizen journalism is not journalism.
True.
That's nonsense.
Yeah, that's what they said. Even when it happened for quite a long time, the Legislative Council refused to give entrance for these citizen journalists, like the in-media or other reporters, even the Mimi HongKong.com, and they wouldn't allow them. But in MONG now, I think last day they started to allow them to go into the reporter areas with the police together, so that they won't mix up with the crowd together. But
they still went after some of them. Like you know, the order was that, you know, mainstream media, leave them alone. You know, alternative independent media, you know, is not media, which is nonsense. This is the new media.
But one interesting news this week about the reporter is that one reporter who was working for the Yan Post of Mingpao got arrested as well. He's 15 years old. Yeah. And then
oh wow, he'll cause a lot of damage.
And then people, of course, judge that, saying that why would a 15-year-old boy become a reporter? Certainly, these protesters just want to give out these reporters.
Excuse me, the judge said that?
No, not they. Some people judge them.
Oh, some people judge them. No.
Yeah.
In Palestine, there's an 8-year-old recording the Israeli you know, occupation that's happening there. That's a journalist as well. That 8-year-old with an iPhone. Okay. Everybody has become a journalist in this new internet digital age.
I think so. And the government, they respond so slow to technology and the development. They don't understand.
They want to control it. They want to control technology. And they understand it. They want to control it.
And they know that they cannot control the internet.
You can't control the internet, but then other companies are trying to be the internet. But that's a whole different subject for a whole different show. So the SCMP footage that we just saw clearly showed that the Apple Daily reporter was not in the wrong. Pepper spray was sprayed that day again.
Like snow.
Like they had this like hose that was just like.
Yeah, snow! Yeah. Yay!
It looked like pepper spray snow, and the officer that was nailing people against the wall there, just passerby, Officer Franklin Chu, was subject to a CAPO investigation, but he chose early retirement.
Very smart.
How convenient. Well, it's the smart thing to do if you don't want to get in trouble.
He still got the pension.
He still gets his pension. The thing is that just because you have a badge and a gun doesn't give you the right to start beating people that don't deserve that kind of force. I mean, I'm so glad we don't have tasers in this city, because I think cops would be too trigger happy saying, "Oh, non-lethal," you know, because it's non-lethal, right? But of course, there's been documented cases of hundreds of people being killed by tasers.
Yeah.
But
I think the victim of the incidents that he demand to have a criminal investigation against the officer.
can these officers, you're a lawyer, can these officers be sued civilly for violation of their rights?
Yeah, of course.
I think that's what you have to do to keep these police in check.
And apart from that, the citizen can also launch these civil, this private prosecution as well. And if the police wouldn't do something like take action to prosecute these officers, then they can hire their own lawyer to do the private prosecution. But it will cost a lot.
Money. That's the problem. Yeah. But they can apply for legal aid.
Yeah.
But the thing is that assuming that the plaintiff wins against an officer that they sue for violating their rights, they win. Where does the money come from? Does it come from the actual officer, or does his union cover it, or is it taxpayer funded?
I think it will be. It's quite depends. Usually, I would say that it should be the government, but at the same time, the government can usually the employer-employee. Then the employer has to be responsible for the action of the employee under the vicarious liability. But at the same time, if the employer deny that, saying that he acted out of the ambit of his work or outside the power that the government gives them to
clearly they were on duty, some of these officers, because they were wearing the uniform.
If I were the police force, then I would say that we didn't authorize him to do anything that not legally allowed.
Well, yes, but
and the officer has to be responsible for his own act.
Okay. See, that's the thing. In other countries where they sue the police department, the money just comes out of the public purse. The officer themselves is not held responsible personally. See, if the police officers were held personally responsible, I think they keep themselves more in check when they're handling these types of incidents. Yeah. I mean, I know cops that you guys have a thankless job. You guys have to face a lot of crap most of the day outside of the protesting stuff. The general public. But you cannot go around doing this because you're also, is this the type of society that you want for your future kids? What if there's a subject that you want to protest against, and somebody suppresses your, freedom to protest and assemble? I mean, of course, if you're being attacked, you have a right to defend yourself. If you see other people being attacked, you got to stop. I understand all that. But just people passing by, you start beating them with batons, that's a bad precedent.
Yeah. It's
riot
crazy.
shield pushing and the racism stuff, man, you want to get my buttons going. That is totally unacceptable. That officer should be off the force, in my opinion.
They also go against the journalists and the reporters.
How could you go after journalists? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and also, of course, there are reports from the main power daily that the media here received some warning or some reminder that they
from
should
whom?
be from the pro-establishment legislators, saying that they should report in a more neutral way.
Okay, to the pro-establishment ass clowns, is that this is the new meme I want to start on Facebook and Twitter. Hashtag HK ass clown. Whenever they say ridiculous stuff like this. News is not neutral. Will people please get out of this mentality that news is neutral? Every news department has their own bias, okay? Why don't you go to the Ta Kung Pao and the Wenwei Po and tell them to be neutral? Clearly that's a CCP mouthpiece, all right? Then then you got Apple Daily on their extreme, okay? And then you got everybody else clustered in the middle. But they have their own bias one way or another. It's subtle, not so subtle, but it's there. There's no such thing as neutral reporting. Do you know what neutral reporting is? Reading a government press release and saying that's a fact.
But the thing is that when you read the government release these days, it seems that they're not that neutral. They try to pick in a very subtle way that they're biased.
To the pro-establishment, that is neutrality of reporting the news.
Okay,
it's nonsense. And speaking of like news and neutrality and stuff like that, but then we have this new age of the internet. People on the famous Golden Forums were digging up dirt on cops,
right?
Which is fine. If it's public record, that's fine.
Yeah, they usually find it from the government telephone list where they work and with a telephone number.
Oh, it's all publicly listed stuff. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Problem is when they start to name and shame their families.
Right.
That is going too far. Leave them out of it. This is not sins of the father. I mean, if it's like C.Y. Leung's daughter, who gets publicly involved, it's okay to comment on what she says.
Right.
Okay? But let's not go after their families. Okay. But if their families have no involvement, if they're on Facebook having their own discussion, leave it there. There's no need to put out their addresses, their phone numbers, their photos, and stuff like that. It doesn't help the situation. Plus, it doesn't. Don't go after the family. This is wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if
I wouldn't want that.
I don't want that. So if we treasure the civil rights so much, then we should also. They also have their own civil rights to privacy as well. Right.
So let's cool it on that stuff, please. And I do want to say that, look, we cannot make the police the enemy. They're not our enemies. Okay. Some are acting. There are 7,000 cops there overall rotating. Okay. Right. I can't say they're all bad. Okay. I can say a good handful were being nuts, right, and we're in the wrong. But overall, I still respect the police for what they do. They do have a thankless job, okay? But we cannot make an enemy of them because this is what the other side wants. They want a divide and conquer strategy. Making the citizenry and the police enemies of each other only distracts from the real problems, the real issue, the real target.
That is
the executive government.
Right.
Okay? Which is a do nothing, say nothing, hear nothing, see nothing, say nothing government. The three monkeys, right? Yeah. That's what our government is. If you want to put faces on those monkeys, those famous monkeys, you got C.Y. Leung, Carrie Lam, and maybe you want to put the security secretary in there. I don't know. That's up for grabs.
Right.
But we still have to engage the police peacefully. To talk to them and say, this is what we want, this is what we want to do, please do not stop us, unless of course there's something really bad going on, somebody brings out a knife or something, right?
To a certain extent I agree with you, and but at the same time I have to say that these police officers, they shouldn't use the excuse that they're doing their job to violate other people's rights, and if they do something exceeding their duties, then I would say that they should, they resign if you are asked to do something that is so wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean the Nuremberg trials of World War II proved that just following orders is not an excuse, right? And if you're ordered to go beat journalists, if you're ordered to just go beat journalists, that's wrong.
And people in the protest area is they're very creative. They're actually putting up the red banner like the police with these Nuremberg, say that you will be sent to Nuremberg if you doing something like that.
Another one said, stop shopping or we will charge. And also the students said, the student group said that they'll know, well, scholarism at least said that they're not going to show up in MONG, but they may start targeting government buildings.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about that yet. I need to see what they mean by government buildings. And,
would you say that?
Like if you go to the district, yeah, exactly. Are you just going to walk into the district council office and protest? I think that's a big deal.
I think they actually meant the government headquarters, right?
Well,
in MOT.
Well, that would make sense.
What about the?
But at least it's a less inconvenience to the public. If you want to keep it somewhere, keep it there. But we'll see what happens with that. And of course, C.Y. Leung and Carrie Lam are doing nothing, right? And this is a political problem that needs a political solution, but they sick the police on this problem. It doesn't help in the long run. And finally, the Occupy Trio, the original Occupy Trio, says they'll turn themselves in on December the 5th. So?
Who cares?
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of a so.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish they would have shown more leadership from the beginning, but the students have shown the leadership.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the Pan-Democrats aren't really showing much leadership either. They seem to be they seem to be, I guess, behind the students when they're the adults. You know, I'm not belittling the students. They're doing a great job in their leadership. Shows a lot of maturity. But I just don't understand it. You're elected people that are paid exorbitant amounts.
I think the general public, they don't really trust the political party. They think that they always have some hidden agenda and they want more votes. And then for the student group, it's better for them to lead, I think, at this moment. And they refuse to surrender themselves with the trio. I
think the right thing to do now is to kind of move on. I mean, I think this Occupy government building should have been done a month ago.
I think so too.
You could have still had the moral, well, you still have the moral high ground, but at least you would have had that public support. You would have moved on to the next step. And then let's see what the next step is. Have a plan, have a battle plan. Gerald Celente was on the show a couple of episodes ago, and he said the reason most of these demonstrations fail is because there's no battle plan.
Right.
There's no end game. And there must be a battle plan plus end game plus contingency plans in case things don't go that way.
I think they thought these Occupy is the end game, but they didn't expect that the government didn't do anything at all.
And I mean, all they're saying now is just focus on the consultation.
Yeah, they say the door's always open. And
open for what? Your BS? Give me a break.
But the students have to give up their preconditions that the decision of the PLC wouldn't change.
Anyways, we will be back in the second half with our guest, Christopher Lau from the political party People Power.